Ever wonder what's really going on in some of America's biggest cities? Places that used to be thriving but now seem to be falling apart? It's like trying to find a decent bagel in Times Square. Theoretically possible, but the odds are aggressively stacked against you. Today, we're diving into cities that many say have been completely changed, some say ruined, by waves of immigration. We're talking about where cultures collide, communities clash, and finding a parking spot feels like winning the lottery. Stick around, because the reasons behind this might just catch you off guard. Let's kick things off with Miami, the place where the sun shines, but some say the city's soul is getting lost. See, Miami's always been a melting pot, a place where cultures collide like overly tanned tourists on South Beach. But when Cuban immigrants arrived in droves during the Mariel boatlift of the 1980s, it wasn't just families looking for a better life. Oh no, Fidel Castro, in his infinite wisdom, decided to empty out some Cuban prisons, and you guessed it, gave these folks a one-way ticket to the Sunshine State. The result? A crime wave that changed Miami's reputation almost overnight. Imagine trying to enjoy a piña colada on the beach while a drug deal goes down next to you. Not exactly the relaxing vacation vibe you were going for, is it? And here's the kicker. Even today, Miami is still dealing with the fallout. We're talking organized crime, gang violence, and neighborhoods where the only thing hotter than the weather is the black market for counterfeit designer goods. It's enough to make you wonder if Miami's melting pot has boiled over, leaving behind a sticky residue of crime and social unrest. Now, before you go booking your next vacation to, Cleveland, it's important to remember that Miami is more than just its crime statistics. It's a city of vibrant culture, stunning beaches, and enough plastic surgery to make a Kardashian blush. But the Mariel boatlift serves as a stark reminder that even in paradise there are shadows. The influx of Cuban refugees, many of whom were struggling to find their footing in a new country, put a strain on Miami's resources and infrastructure. The city was simply unprepared for the sheer number of newcomers, and the social fabric stretched thin. So, has Miami's experience with immigration ruined the city? The answer, like a mojito on a hot day, is a bit complicated. Now let's mosey on over to the West Coast, shall we? Specifically, Los Angeles, the land of movie stars, traffic jams, and enough avocado toast to feed a small nation. Everyone knows LA is a hot spot for Mexican and Central American communities, but not everyone sees this vibrant mix as a good thing. In areas like East LA, you've got culture bursting at the seams, tacos that would make your abuela weep with joy, music that moves your soul, and a sense of community that's hard to find in a city as sprawling as LA. But on the flip side, some folks will tell you it's a recipe for trouble, like trying to make a souffle in an earthquake. With gangs like MS-13 taking root, crime is up, and resources are stretched thinner than a Hollywood starlet's patience on a 12-hour shoot. Schools are more overcrowded than a casting call for a Marvel movie, and tensions between different communities are about as subtle as a Michael Bay explosion. It's enough to make you wonder, can LA really keep its cool when it's pulled in so many directions? Can a city that worships at the altar of youth and beauty embrace the complexities of immigration? The influx of immigrants from Mexico and Central America has undoubtedly transformed Los Angeles, bringing with it both challenges and rewards. On the one hand, you have the economic contributions, the vibrant cultural tapestry, the delicious food, seriously, those tacos. But on the other hand, you have the strain on public services, the gang violence, the cultural clashes that can leave people feeling like they're living in two different worlds. It's like trying to fit all of LA's diverse communities into one of those tiny cars they drive in those car chase scenes. It's crowded, chaotic, and someone's probably going to get hurt. But just as LA has always found a way to rebuild after an earthquake, it's also finding ways to bridge the divides and build a more inclusive future. There are community organizations working tirelessly to provide support and opportunities to immigrant families, to break down stereotypes and build bridges of understanding. There are educators working to create inclusive classrooms that celebrate diversity while ensuring that all students have the chance to succeed. So, is LA ruined by immigration? Far from it. It's a city grappling with growing pains, trying to find its balance amidst the constant churn of change. Now, hold on to your hats, folks, because we're heading to Dearborn, Michigan, a city that's about as far from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood as you can get. Here, the influence of the Arab American community is everywhere. From the mouth-watering shawarma joints on every corner to the sounds of Arabic music drifting through the air. It's like stepping into another world, a world where you can get a killer falafel and haggle for a rug, all without leaving the Midwest. But here's the thing, not everyone in Dearborn is doing the dabka, if you catch my drift. Some folks, and we're not talking about your casual mosque-goers here, believe that Dearborn has become so Arab, so steeped in Middle Eastern culture, that it's practically seceded from the Union and declared itself the Republic of Hummus. They claim that Dearborn's cultural traditions are about as compatible with American values as a camel in a snowstorm. We're talking debates about things like women's rights, religious freedom, and whether or not you can get a decent bagel in this town. Spoiler alert, you probably can't. The big question here is, when does cultural pride turn into cultural isolation? Has Dearborn found the balance? Or are we talking about a ticking time bomb of cultural misunderstanding just waiting for someone to light the fuse? Dearborn's Arab American community has been around for over a century, and they've contributed a great deal to the city's economy, culture, and social fabric. They're doctors, lawyers, teachers, and entrepreneurs. You know, regular folks just trying to live their lives and raise their families. But there's no denying that Dearborn's unique demographics have led to some, shall we say, spirited debates about the role of religion and culture in public life. Should Dearborn schools offer halal meals? Should women be allowed to wear the hijab in public? These are complex issues with no easy answers, and they've led to some tense moments in Dearborn's recent history. So is Dearborn a ticking time bomb? Or is it a model for how different cultures can coexist peacefully in the 21st century? The answer, as with most things in life, is probably somewhere in between. All right, let's talk about the Big Apple, the city that never sleeps. And maybe that's because it's more crowded than a subway car during rush hour. New York City's always been a beacon for immigrants, a place where dreams are made of, well, if not quite cheesecake and bagels, then at least the hope of a better life. But let's be real, folks. Cramming that many people from all corners of the globe into a few tiny islands is bound to create some friction, like trying to fit a family of 5 into a studio apartment in Manhattan. And in neighborhoods like Flushing, Queens, and Jackson Heights, where the blend of cultures is as diverse as a bowl of rainbow sprinkles, the problems are simmering like a pot of boiling water on a hot stove. Rent's skyrocketing faster than a Spider-Man villain's evil plan. Space is running out faster than your patience in a Times Square souvenir shop. And tensions between different communities are as thick as the crust on a New York-style pizza. You've got longtime residents who remember when you could find a decent apartment for less than the cost of a Broadway show. And you've got newcomers who are just trying to get a foothold in the city that never sleeps, even if it means sacrificing sleep, space, and maybe a kidney to afford the rent. As these neighborhoods grow stronger in their cultural identity, think Little India, Koreatown, and enough ethnic restaurants to make your taste buds sing. Some people are asking, is the city's character getting lost in the mix? Can the Big Apple handle so many flavors, or is it becoming too much to chew? Now, before you start writing off New York City as a lost cause, remember that this city thrives on chaos. It's a place where grit and determination are prized above all else, where people from all walks of life come together to make something out of nothing. And while the challenges of immigration are real, the strain on resources, the cultural clashes, the occasional awkward encounter with a durian fruit, New Yorkers are a resilient bunch. They've weathered economic downturns, terrorist attacks, and even the indignity of having a reality TV star as president. So is New York City being ruined by immigration? Hardly. It's being transformed, reshaped, and reinvented, just as it always has been. All right, folks, bundle up and grab your snow boots because we're heading north to Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the winters are long, the lakes are frozen, and the Somali community is making its mark. Now, Minneapolis might not be the first place that comes to mind when you think of immigration hotspots, but don't let that fool you. This Midwestern metropolis has quietly become a hub for Somali refugees fleeing conflict and seeking a fresh start in the land of 10,000 lakes. And nowhere is this more evident than in Cedar Riverside, a neighborhood affectionately known as Little Mogadishu. Here, the sights, sounds, and smells of Somalia are everywhere, from the bustling Somali malls to the aroma of traditional Somali cuisine wafting through the air. It's a vibrant community, a testament to the resilience and entrepreneurial spirit of the Somali people. But as with any wave of immigration, the rapid growth of the Somali community in Minneapolis hasn't been without its challenges. There are concerns about extremism, with some young Somali men being lured by the siren song of radical ideology. There are worries about overcrowded housing, with multiple families often crammed into small apartments. And there are cultural clashes, with some longtime residents struggling to understand and adapt to the customs and traditions of their new neighbors. But just as Minneapolis drivers are known for their mostly polite driving habits, the city is also finding ways to navigate the complexities of immigration and build a more inclusive community. There are organizations working to counter extremist ideology and provide Somali youth with alternatives to violence. There are affordable housing initiatives aimed at easing the strain on overcrowded neighborhoods, and there are cultural exchange programs designed to foster understanding and break down stereotypes. So, is Minneapolis being ruined by immigration? Not if the city's residents have anything to say about it. They're rolling up their sleeves, embracing the challenges, and working together to build a brighter future for all. So what's the takeaway from all this? America's always been a country built by immigrants, a nation of strivers and dreamers seeking a better life. But let's be honest, folks. Rapid change isn't always easy. The truth is, these cities are caught between embracing the beautiful tapestry of diversity and dealing with the inevitable strain it can bring. Are they being ruined, or just transformed in ways we didn't expect? That's for you to decide. As this debate rages on, remember, the future of these cities, and maybe America as a whole, is still being shaped.